Tonight, we travel into the heart of night itself, into a world where shadows rest, and dreams gently bloom. Breathe in slowly, and let the day fall away, because tonight, we walk toward the realm of Hypnos, the gentle God who closes every weary eye. Far beyond the lands of mortals, beyond mountains, beyond oceans, there lies a valley forever wrapped in twilight. In the center of that valley is a cave carved into stone older than time. No sound of thunder enters. No harsh voice can echo there. Only stillness. Only silence. Only peace. This is the home of Hypnos. At the cave entrance grow thousands of poppies. Their petals sway softly, releasing a sweet, calming scent that drifts across the world like a lullaby. Inside the cave, a gentle river flows. The river Lethe, waters that wash away worry, softening memories, just enough, so sleep can come without fear. Hypnos rests there, with wings folded across his shoulders, watching the night unfold, not as a ruler, not as a tyrant, but as a caretaker, guiding every living being into rest. Hypnos was born from Nyx, the deep night herself. She did not command him to frighten or to punish. She simply whispered, "Let the world rest when it grows tired." And so he did. Beside Hypnos lived his twin brother, Thanatos, gentle death, who guides souls at the end of life. But Hypnos did not fear his brother, and his brother did not fear him, because sleep and death are not enemies. They are shadows of the same quiet peace, existing to remind the world that even struggle must eventually rest. Even the mighty Olympus depends on Hypnos. There are nights when the gods themselves cannot quiet their thoughts, when worries cling to them like vines, and Hypnos simply spreads his wings and breathes across the sky. One by one, their eyes soften. Even Zeus, Lord of Thunder, has been eased into slumber by Hypnos' gentle gift, not through trickery, but through understanding, because Hypnos knows that every being, God or mortal, needs rest to wake renewed. As you listen now, Hypnos' cave grows closer. The poppies sway, the river whispers. Feel your shoulders grow heavy, your breath slower, your mind quieter. There is nothing to solve tonight, nothing to chase, nothing to fear. Sleep is not an enemy, it is a return home. Imagine yourself stepping gently into the valley of twilight. The air is cool, not cold. The light is dim, not dark. Fireflies float lazily over the ground, glowing like drifting stars. Each step is soft, without effort, without noise. Ahead of you, the cave glows faintly with silver light. Hypnos is waiting, not watching, not judging, but welcoming. You feel his presence like a calm hand, resting lightly on your back, guiding, never pushing. You are allowed to rest. Your thoughts can drift away. Your body knows how to sleep. Hypnos asks nothing of you, except this: let the night take care of you. You step closer to the cave, and the sound of the river grows clearer. A soft, endless whisper, like someone quietly repeating, "It's okay, it's okay." A gentle mist rises from the water, cool and comforting against your skin. Inside, the light fades into a warm, dim glow. Shadows are soft here. They do not hide anything. They simply rest. You notice smooth stone walls, carved by centuries of calm. Each curve seems to guide your eyes downward, toward peace, toward stillness. And there, beside the river, sits Hypnos, not towering, not threatening. He looks peaceful, almost human, with wings soft as night clouds, folded behind him. His eyes are half closed, as though he himself is always half dreaming. He does not speak. He doesn't need to. A wave of gentle quiet fills your chest, settling your thoughts, one by one, like feathers drifting to the floor. You sit near the river, feeling the smooth stone beneath you, cool and grounding. The waters slide past, carrying worries away. A memory rises in your mind, something unfinished, something that once felt heavy, but when you place it gently into the river in your imagination, the water takes it without effort. It softens, it lightens, it fades. You realize something simple. Not every thought must be carried through the night. Some can wait for morning. Hypnos watches with patient kindness. You sense that he has watched every living creature do this very thing for countless ages. The bravest warriors, the wisest scholars, the smallest children, all of them, eventually, sit beside this quiet river and let themselves rest. A breeze drifts through the cave, barely moving the poppies at the entrance. The faint scent of them wraps around you like a soft blanket. Your breathing matches the rhythm of the water, slow, gentle, unforced. Hypnos lifts one hand. You feel nothing dramatic, just a wave of deeper calm, settling through your shoulders, down your arms, into your hands. The muscles unclench, the mind loosens. A thought passes through. This is safe. You lean back slightly, letting the stone cradle you, cool and steady, reliable. Time becomes strange here. Minutes stretch, like warm honey. Hours dissolve. There is no rush, no deadline, just the soft promise that sleep will come when it is ready. Across the cave, tiny droplets fall from the ceiling, tapping the water with a slow, patient rhythm. Hypnos closes his eyes fully now, and the cave grows dimmer, as though night itself has taken a deeper breath. Dreams begin to gather around him, soft shapes, gentle colors, flowing like clouds. They drift toward you, not to overwhelm, but to cradle. A small dream settles beside you. It feels like walking through grass on a warm evening, bare feet, stars above, everything quiet. Another dream follows, like the sound of distant ocean waves, steady and soothing. Each dream is simple, uncomplicated, peaceful. You realize that Hypnos does not force sleep. He invites it, and your body answers naturally. The river continues to murmur. Your eyelids grow heavier, then soften again, then drift. If thoughts return, they float past, like leaves on the water, never stopping, never needing to be chased. Hypnos' wings rustle slightly, and a deeper calm settles over the cave. The world outside continues. Winds blow, people talk, storms rise and fall, but none of it reaches here. In this place, there is only night, the kind that heals. You sense NYX somewhere far above, spreading her endless sky, and Hypnos beneath her, guarding every sleeping heart. You let yourself sink a little deeper, and deeper still. The river hums softly. Your breathing slows further, smooth and steady. Sleep is not far now. It is already beginning to wrap around you, soft as wings, quiet as twilight, gentle as a promise. Rest. You are safe. The night will keep you. As the soft glow of twilight settles over the mythic landscape, we return to the quiet domain of Hypnos, not as a god of thunder, not as a warrior, but as a gentle presence who guides the world into rest. His realm is not one of fear, but of release, a place where thoughts slow, worries fade, and the mind drifts safely into dream. In the ancient world, sleep was mysterious. It arrived without invitation. It silenced the strongest kings, humbled the bravest warriors, and soothed the weary traveler. And so the Greeks imagined Hypnos as both powerful and kind, a being whose touch could calm storms in the heart. He did not walk among mortals with noise or spectacle. Instead, Hypnos would glide silently, unseen, letting his feathers brush gently over eyelids. With every soft stroke, minds grew heavier. Bodies surrendered to rest. Even the gods themselves could not resist him. Beyond the river Lethe, his cave always remained the same. Deep, peaceful, wrapped in silence. Vines hung low, ivy draped the entrance, and fragrant poppies filled the air with a mild, dreamy perfume. No bird sang here. No wind howled. There was nothing to disturb those inside. Inside that quiet space, Hypnos watched over thousands upon thousands of sleeping forms, shepherds beneath starry skies, sailors rocking in their ships, children curled beside hearth fires, ancient philosophers deep in thought, until their minds slipped gently into the world of dreams. Sometimes, he shaped those dreams himself. He might send memories glowing gently like lanterns on water. He might soften sorrow, offering peace for a few stolen hours. Or he might send symbolic visions, messages wrapped in moonlight, guiding heroes, warning kings, or reminding mortals of the paths they still had to walk. But Hypnos was not only the god of pleasant rest. He understood that all parts of sleep had meaning. There were deep, profound dreams. There were strange, fragmented ones. And there were nights when dreamless darkness wrapped around the mind like velvet. All of it belonged to him. When Hera once asked Hypnos to place Zeus into slumber, he hesitated. Even a gentle god knows when his power can be dangerous. Yet eventually, even Zeus, the king of the gods, succumbed to the quiet weight of Hypnos' gift. Not through force, not through battle, but through stillness. That is the true nature of Hypnos, power through peace. Imagine him standing beside you now, calm, timeless, patient. Not pressing you to sleep, not commanding your thoughts. Just guiding them slowly, gently, like a river easing toward the sea. Your breathing slows. Your shoulders soften. And the myths unfold around you as softly as nightfall. In the distance, the twin brothers continue their work. Thanatos guides souls gently from life to eternity, always with respect, while Hypnos walks first, offering one last night of rest before the final journey. Even the gods envied such serenity. As centuries passed, poets, philosophers, and storytellers kept returning to Hypnos. They spoke of him in libraries lit by oil lamps, in temples carved from marble, and later, in medical texts, where doctors explored sleep, unknowingly echoing the myths of old. Sleep heals. Sleep repairs. Sleep restores the mind. And in the world of myth, it was Hypnos who guided that sacred process. Now picture the stars above ancient Greece, drifting across the sky. Farmers, sailors, rulers, and children all lie beneath the same blanket of darkness. One by one, their eyes grow heavy. Thoughts drift. And with a quiet smile, Hypnos passes over them like a calm wind. He does not judge. He does not ask. He simply allows them to rest. As we continue deeper into this journey, you travel not only through mythology, but through the very nature of sleep itself, quiet rhythms, soft transitions, peaceful surrender. Hypnos remains with you, patient, watchful, endlessly gentle, guiding you toward calm. And as the story continues, the night remains long, slow, and comforting, letting the mind drift wherever dreams wish to go. In the depths of the night, when the world grows quiet and even the restless grow still, the presence of Hypnos becomes strongest. It is in these hours that his influence spreads gently, like mist rolling softly across a calm valley. The ancient Greeks believed that sleep served as a bridge, a passage between the ordinary world and something more mysterious. And standing at that bridge was Hypnos, not as a guardian blocking the way, but as a guide helping travelers cross safely. He never rushed anyone. He never forced the mind to wander faster than it was ready. Instead, he encouraged thoughts to unwind naturally, like threads loosening from a woven cloth. Some nights brought dreams that felt real enough to touch. Heroes meeting lost loved ones. Travelers revisiting the homes of their childhood. Distant voices whispering wisdom forgotten by waking memory. Hypnos allowed these journeys to unfold, knowing that dreams could comfort, teach, or gently remind. At other times, dreams seemed strange, shifting landscapes, impossible staircases, people appearing and disappearing like shadows. Even these had meaning, for they allowed the mind to sort through fears, questions, and unfinished stories. Hypnos understood that confusion, too, can eventually lead to clarity. In his silent cavern, streams of forgetfulness flowed softly across stone. They washed over worries collected during the day, smoothing sharp edges, quieting loud thoughts. The sound was soothing, steady, rhythmic, like the slow beating of a peaceful heart. Beyond the cave, poppies swayed lazily, their petals reflecting moonlight. Travelers who wandered too near often found themselves suddenly drowsy, sinking gently onto the ground. But there was no danger here. Hypnos ensured their dreams stayed peaceful, like drifting along a calm ocean. When artists spoke of inspiration that came in the night, they believed Hypnos had whispered to them. When warriors found the courage to continue after exhaustion, they thanked him for the strength that comes only from true rest. And when mothers watched their children sleeping peacefully, they felt his presence as a blessing. Even gods sought him when burdens grew heavy. Apollo with his glowing lyre, Athena with her unending wisdom, all understood that without sleep, even divine minds faltered. Hypnos, though gentle, reminded them that everything in existence needs moments of surrender. Moments where control softens. Moments where silence becomes a gift. He was not feared. He was trusted. And trust is one of the greatest powers a god can hold. As centuries passed, Hypnos remained unchanged. Empires rose and fell. New cities were built, new philosophies written. But still, every night, the world closed its eyes and entered his care, just as it had since the first dawn. Tonight, you walk through that same timeless path. Perhaps you imagine yourself standing at the entrance of the cave, cool air brushing your skin, shadows flickering gently along the stone walls. A faint glow guides you, neither bright nor dark, simply comfortable. Inside, everything slows. The mind softens like sand warmed beneath the sun. Thoughts drift apart, floating lazily, no longer tangled or sharp. Hypnos does not speak, but his presence fills the space, reassuring, steady, and calm. Soon, the story becomes less about myths and more about stillness itself. The stillness that allows the body to heal. The stillness that gives the heart permission to rest. The stillness that welcomes you deeper into the quiet world of dreams. And as we continue, the night stretches endlessly ahead, calm, gentle, patient, guided by the quiet hands of Hypnos. Beneath the waking world, the quiet realm of Hypnos remained unchanged by storms, battles, or worries above. Time passed differently here. Hours slipped into one another like soft waves gently touching the shore. No rush. No urgency. Only the slow rhythm of peace. In the myths, it was said that Hypnos had wings, sometimes on his shoulders, sometimes upon his temples. They were not meant for speed or escape. They symbolized how easily he could move through every home, every palace, every hidden corner of the world. A flutter of quiet wings, and even the most restless soul would begin to feel heavy-eyed. He visited shepherds resting beside quiet fields. He visited sailors drifting under endless skies. He visited kings whose crowns felt heavy and travelers whose feet were sore from long journeys. To each of them, he gave the same gift, relief from the burden of waking life. Even great heroes depended on him. Achilles, mighty and fierce, could not fight forever. Odysseus, clever and determined, needed moments when thought finally uncoiled. Hypnos did not favor one person over another. To farmers and warriors, children and elders, gods and mortals alike, he offered the same gentle kindness. His twin brother, Thanatos, brought the silence of final rest. But Hypnos' silence was different. His silence promised return. It was a pause, not an ending. A night that would eventually welcome dawn. Sometimes, when storms raged across the world and thunders rolled across the sky, Hypnos would deepen the sleep of those who trembled. Dreams would shift from fear to comfort. The storm might continue outside, loud, bright, unstoppable, but inside the dream, the sky cleared. The wind softened. Everything became safe again. Poets believed that Hypnos carried a handful of seeds, tiny, shimmering, shaped like teardrops. When he scattered them, eyelids grew heavy. Each seed was a promise that rest was near. When they touched the earth, poppies bloomed, glowing faintly in silver light. Inside his cavern, shadows did not feel threatening. They curled like cats beside the hearth, peaceful and quiet. Pools of water reflected faint images of sleeping faces across the world. With each gentle ripple, a breath was followed, a heartbeat steady and slow. The deeper the night grew, the softer Hypnos' presence became, not weaker, but more natural. Like the way darkness slowly fills a room when the sun sets, unnoticed at first, then suddenly complete. If you listen closely, you can almost imagine the sound of those underground streams, steady, patient, repeating their soft music over smooth stone. A sound that asks nothing of you. A sound that simply exists. The mind begins to drift further now. Thoughts loosen even more, like pages turning slower and slower in a storybook. Images appear, linger, and fade, mountains dissolving into clouds, pathways leading gently into forests, oceans stretching into the horizon. Hypnos guides, but never pushes. He understands that each person has their own rhythm, a unique way of falling into dreams. Some slip easily, like stepping into warm water. Others take their time, needing each breath to carry them a little deeper. But eventually, everyone arrives. And when they do, Hypnos watches over them with calm patience. Somewhere far away, dawn is preparing, but it is still distant, still quiet, still wrapped in darkness. For now, there is only night. Soft, safe, endless. And as the journey continues, you walk gently beside the ancient god of sleep, carried not by force, but by the natural pull of rest itself. Above the silent realm of Hypnos, the world slowly turned. Villages faded into darkness. Lamps were lowered. Doors were closed against the night air. One by one, rooms filled with stillness. The noise of the day dissolved, like footprints disappearing beneath the tide. Hypnos felt it, not as sound, but as a gentle change in the air. A collective exhale. A release. He rose from his stone seat and walked slowly through the cavern. The torches along the walls did not flicker like ordinary flames. They glowed steadily, as if they too were resting. Shadows leaned patiently against pillars carved by ages of flowing water. At the entrance to his realm, the great poppy fields swayed in a breeze that did not belong to the mortal world. Their petals glimmered faintly, like dreams waiting to be chosen. Every flower carried a different kind of sleep, deep, light, dream-filled, dreamless, peaceful, reflective. Hypnos touched one, and far away, a tired farmer finally set aside his worries. He touched another, and a mother rocking her child felt her shoulders loosen. With every gentle brush of his fingertips, tension unwound somewhere across the earth. He stepped beyond the cavern and into the quiet pathways that only gods could travel. They were not roads in the usual sense. They were threads. Lines woven through every city, forest, mountain, and sea. He followed them effortlessly, drifting like mist along rooftops, through open windows, across empty fields lit only by moonlight. He reached a lonely lighthouse on a distant shore. Inside, a keeper sat awake, watching the horizon. His thoughts were heavy. Memories of storms survived, nights endured alone. Hypnos stood invisibly beside him, placed a soft hand over the man's shoulder, and whispered nothing. No command. No words. Only presence. Slowly, the man's eyes softened. His breathing matched the distant rhythm of the waves. The light continued to burn, faithful and steady, while its guardian finally surrendered to rest. Further inland, Hypnos found a young poet sitting by a window, candle nearly melted to its base. Crumpled pages surrounded them like fallen leaves. Ideas came and went, restless and unfinished. Hypnos let a tiny feather fall from his wing. It drifted down, landing gently on the poet's desk. Their thoughts slowed. The desperate rush to create faded into calm. Soon the poet slept, and in their dreams, words arranged themselves naturally, not forced, not chased, just found. Hypnos moved on. He passed through palaces filled with gold and small cottages built from rough stone. It did not matter. Sleep treated all places equally. Kings needed rest just as much as shepherds, and both rested more peacefully under his care. Sometimes, he paused beside children who dreamed of endless fields and bright skies. Other times, he stood near elders who remembered old seasons and familiar faces. He never interfered with the dreams themselves, that was the domain of others, but he kept the doorway steady, safe, and open. Back in the depths beneath the earth, the rivers in his realm continued their low, constant murmur. Their sound echoed faintly through every corner, like a lullaby that had existed since the beginning of time. Even the gods, powerful and eternal, could not escape that sound forever. Zeus himself, ruler of thunder, once resisted, determined to remain awake, watchful, unyielding. But Hypnos understood patience better than any living being. He did not push. He did not challenge. He simply waited, letting the natural pull of rest grow stronger. And eventually, even the sky's great king had to close his eyes. That was the quiet strength of Hypnos. Not force. Not fear. Only inevitability, the gentle truth that every heart needs moments of stillness. As the night deepened, the stars above seemed to listen. Their steady glow mirrored the steady breathing of the sleeping world. The constellations themselves, heroes, hunters, and creatures of legend, appeared frozen in perfect calm. The path continues ahead, unhurried and soft. The god of sleep walks beside you, guiding without leading, protecting without boasting. There is nowhere you need to be. Nothing you need to solve. Nothing you must hold on to. Only rest. Only night. Only the slow drift into deeper quiet. Deeper into the night, the world slipped further from its worries. Roads that had once echoed with footsteps now lay silent. Markets that had buzzed with voices rested beneath gentle shadows. Even the wind seemed to slow, drifting lazily across hills and rooftops. Hypnos returned to the cavern entrance, where night itself seemed to breathe. The poppies swayed again, shimmering softly beneath the unseen light. Each petal held the memory of someone easing into sleep. Each stem carried a promise that tomorrow would come in its own time. He walked among them quietly. As he moved, more stories from the world above reached him, feelings drifting downward like falling leaves. There was a merchant who had traveled too far, his body sore and mind filled with numbers. Hypnos sent him a dream of warm sunlight and quiet riverbanks, reminding him that life could be gentle. There was a warrior who had forgotten the sound of laughter. Hypnos wrapped him in a sleep without dreams, deep and healing, where silence touched every tired corner of his heart. There was a child who feared the dark. For them, Hypnos left a faint glow, not bright, just enough to shape the outline of safety. The shadows around their bed softened, becoming friendly shapes instead of frightening ones. Slowly, the child's breathing fell into rhythm. Slowly, fear dissolved. The longer Hypnos watched over the world, the clearer it became that sleep was not an escape. It was a bridge. A quiet crossing from one part of the day to another. A space where minds repaired themselves and hearts found balance again. Even animals felt his presence. Owls blinked lazily from tree branches. A fox curled beneath a fallen log. Horses stood peacefully in fields, heads lowered, eyes closed. Each creature surrendered to the same gentle pull, the ancient rhythm that Hypnos guided but did not control. Beyond the horizon, clouds drifted across the sky, silver at the edges where the moon touched them. They moved without hurry, like thoughts slowly untangling. Inside the cavern, the streams continued to whisper along their stone paths. No beginning. No end. Just endless motion that somehow still felt perfectly still. Hypnos sat again beside the pool where reflections formed. He saw dreams moving quietly, scenes taking shape, stories unfolding, faces smiling, tears falling, oceans rising and fading. Nothing stayed. Everything flowed. And he understood this simple truth: rest does not erase life. It gently carries it forward. Somewhere in a distant city, bells marked the deepest part of night. Not many heard them. Those who did barely noticed, already halfway between waking and dreaming. Hypnos smiled faintly, the expression subtle and serene. The gods of Olympus often spoke with loud voices, full of thunder, command, and pride. Hypnos rarely spoke at all. Yet his silence ruled every kingdom, every island, every hidden valley. Because even kings must sleep. Even storms must quiet. Even the brightest fires burn low. He closed his eyes for a moment and listened, truly listened, to the sleeping world. What he heard was not noise, but harmony. Millions of heartbeats moving slowly, gently, together. A quiet chorus woven through darkness. Night was deep now. But deeper still was the peace that covered everything. There was nowhere urgent to go. Nothing slipping away. Only the steady pull inward, toward safety, toward warmth, toward soft darkness that asks nothing and forgives everything. Beside you, Hypnos remains, not as a figure to fear, but as a presence that understands how fragile waking life can be. He offers what he always has, a place to rest, held softly by time itself. And the journey through the night continues, unbroken and calm, like a river flowing through eternal shadow. In the farthest corners of the world, where mountains rose like silent giants and valleys curled into hidden shapes, the influence of Hypnos settled gently over everything. Snow on high peaks glowed faintly beneath the moon. Forest paths, once alive with travelers and animals, rested undisturbed beneath layers of shadow. Nothing hurried here. Even the rivers that rushed during the day seemed calm at night, their waters gliding quietly along their banks. Hypnos watched from afar, sensing the thousands of dreams unfolding simultaneously like delicate flowers opening in slow motion. Some dreams were simple. A baker dreamed of warm bread emerging from an oven, the golden crust crackling softly. A fisherman dreamed of clear water and smooth sailing. A mother dreamed of childhood summers, bright with laughter and endless skies. Other dreams were more mysterious. Doorways opened into vast halls. Starlit oceans stretched outward forever. Forgotten faces appeared, smiled, and faded again. Hypnos did not shape these images, that was the work of his children and the lords of dreams, but he made sure each path remained steady, without sudden jolts or fear. Deeper still beneath the earth, the cave walls carried carvings from ages long past. Ancient travelers had once imagined what the realm of sleep might look like. They had drawn scenes of night spreading her dark cloak, of Hypnos with quiet wings, of mortals resting beneath celestial skies. Those carvings remained, untouched by wind or rain. When Hypnos passed by them, he paused. Not to admire himself, but to reflect on how important sleep had always been, not only for the body, but for the heart. It had guided poets, healed warriors, comforted the lonely, and softened grief that felt too heavy during the daylight hours. He moved onward. Far above, the constellations traced their familiar paths. Orion, the hunter, stood frozen mid-stride. Cassiopeia reclined across her bright throne. They looked eternal, yet even stars lived within cycles, rising, fading, returning again. Everything rested, eventually. In a quiet farmhouse, an elderly man slept beside an old dog. Their breaths matched, slow and gentle. Hypnos stayed there a moment longer than usual. The man's memories drifted softly, of harvest seasons, friendships, shared meals, and laughter beneath open skies. There was peace there. Not because nothing difficult had happened in his life, but because, for this moment, all pain had loosened its grip. The dog stirred, sighed once, and settled back into calm sleep. Beyond the countryside, in sprawling cities filled with towers and lights, even the busiest streets eventually surrendered. Lanterns dimmed. Workshops fell silent. Bridges reflected back the quiet glow of the moon on still water. Inside a lonely tower room, a scholar slept at a desk covered with books. Hypnos wrapped him in a deeper layer of rest, easing the tension from his hands and shoulders. Knowledge could wait until morning. For now, only peace mattered. Night thickened like velvet. The longer it lasted, the more the world seemed to trust it. And through all of it, Hypnos remained constant, neither ruling nor commanding, simply guiding the world toward healing silence. His realm beneath the earth shimmered faintly with the reflected dreams of mortals, like constellations mirrored on dark water. Nothing threatened here. Nothing chased you. The darkness felt like being held, surrounded by comfort rather than emptiness. As the hours slipped by, they left almost no trace, like footprints disappearing under fresh snowfall. The gods above might argue, plan, or boast, but in the quiet below, only rest existed, deep and endless. The journey continues, slow and gentle, unfolding through every layer of night, each breath a step, each heartbeat a soft echo beneath the watchful calm of the god of sleep. As the night deepened toward its quietest point, the world seemed suspended between breaths. Shadows lay soft across fields and rooftops. The moon glided slowly, reflected in still ponds and narrow streams. Everything existed in a delicate balance, untouched and serene. In the cavern of Hypnos, the rivers whispered their endless lullaby. The air was cool and gentle, carrying the faint scent of poppies. The god of sleep moved slowly through his realm, each step unhurried, as though even time respected the peace that surrounded him. He paused at the great stone archway that marked the threshold between his world and the waking one. Beyond it, threads of dream glowed faintly, stretching outward into every corner of existence. He touched one of them lightly, and somewhere far away a restless soul found calm, sinking deeper into soft darkness. Above, clouds drifted past stars like silent ships crossing a vast ocean. Owls turned their heads and watched. Wolves curled upon themselves and closed their eyes. Even the waves at distant shores softened, rolling in with quiet patience, then sliding gently back again. Hypnos listened. Not for danger or disturbance, but for harmony, the subtle rhythm of countless beings resting together. It was steady, like the beat of a heart too large to imagine. Each breath taken in sleep became part of that rhythm, woven seamlessly into the night. Far across the world, a mother checking on her child smiled at the peaceful expression on their face. A sailor on a ship finally allowed his eyes to close, trusting the sea just long enough to drift. A musician dreamed of melodies that flowed like rivers, free and effortless. In each of them, Hypnos was present. Not as a voice, not as a command, only as a soft hand guiding them gently further inward. He returned to the heart of his cavern and sat upon the smooth stone seat shaped by centuries of quiet watching. Above him, the shadows shifted slowly, like distant clouds moving across a night sky. The pools reflected dreamscapes that rose and dissolved without sound. And gradually, even the realm itself seemed to rest. The poppies bowed more deeply. The torches dimmed to a soft glow. The underground rivers slowed, though they never stopped. Everything lay wrapped in a silence so deep that it felt endless, like floating in dark, warm water where nothing can reach you. Hypnos closed his eyes. Not to abandon the world, but because he knew that his presence did not require constant awareness. Sleep was natural. It flowed on its own. He merely tended it, like a gentle gardener, ensuring that the night remained safe. Somewhere, far beyond the horizon, the first hint of dawn waited, but it did not rush. It lingered at the edge of the world, patient and respectful. Morning always arrives, yet it never forces the night to leave before its time. The hours drifted on. Dreams softened, then deepened, and then settled into quiet stillness. The burden of waking life eased from tired shoulders, replaced by peace that asked for nothing and expected nothing in return. When at last the faintest light began to touch the sky, Hypnos lifted his gaze. He did not resist. Rest was not meant to last forever, it was meant to renew. His gift prepared every heart to meet the world again, calmer and clearer than before. He rose, walked slowly to the cave entrance, and looked outward. Above ground, birds trembled with anticipation, yet remained silent. The world hovered in the gentle space between night and morning, where shadows slowly soften and shapes return. Hypnos let the final wave of sleep wash gently across the land, blessing every resting soul with peace. As the first delicate rays of dawn brushed the horizon, he stepped back into the depths of his cavern. The poppies glowed faintly once more. The torches warmed to a soft amber hue. Night had done its work. Dreams had carried their quiet messages. Hearts had found their strength again. And Hypnos, guardian of slumber, watched with quiet satisfaction. For he knew that when darkness returned, when the sun dipped beneath the earth and the world once again sought refuge from its burdens, the path back to his realm would be waiting, unchanged, calm, eternal. The rivers would still whisper. The shadows would still cradle. And he would still be there, ready to guide every soul gently into the soft, healing embrace of sleep. Night releases its hold. Dawn rises, tender and slow. But the peace of Hypnos remains behind, lingering like the last echo of a dream, quiet, comforting, and always waiting to welcome you back.